Hello everyone, and welcome to our weather update on Saturday the 20th of September 2025. So this morning we're seeing a lot of rain pushing through parts of Ireland, especially in the southeast, but more especially so in Wales and northern England. And this rain, where it is now, it will basically stay where it is for the whole day and possibly move just a tiny bit southeastwards. But really this morning, if you wake up with rain, you are likely to stay with rain all day. This amount of rain has been very tricky to forecast over the past few days. Meteorology issued a widespread warning for rainfall covering much of the Midlands, East and South on Thursday afternoon. Given that at the time we thought that there would be an area of low pressure deepening along this waving system and therefore wave and push the rain back north into many areas of Ireland. However, come Friday, the models no longer forecasted that low to form, and therefore all we now see is this front that trails along and gradually moves eastwards and no longer moves into Ireland, and that resulted in that whole warning being removed in the end. But having said that, the UK Met Office have issued a warning covering many areas of Wales, parts of the Midlands, and into northern England through today. So check that out if you are affected by this rainfall. Further west, we do see showers pushing in towards parts of Connacht, and these showers will push southeastwards through the day, heavy at times, especially later on in the south. Right, moving on then to our high resolution UKV, we can see that we have this heavy rain set up over those areas like Wales, parts of southwest England and into northern England, just skirting the far southeast of Ireland. And over the day, that rain does push erratically eastwards, but overall staying wet where we start with rain. And for Ireland, we can see that showers do pep up through the day, given that we're still in mid-September. The equinox, of course, is on Monday. And so therefore the sun still has some quite decent strength to it, and we're seeing some very cool upper air temperatures pushing in as well, and that will aid convection with the strength of the sunshine. So there's heavy showers today over parts of Ireland, and overnight we see this more northerly airflow digging into many areas of Ireland, Scotland and northern England, and that band of rain does clear finally from the east coast of England. Some showers down Wales and Cornwall as well. Tomorrow, Sunday, we'll see northerly winds dominating, and therefore those will bring showers at times, most frequent into Scotland and Northern Ireland, some drifting through Northern England and Ireland, but really those should be few and far between. And you might notice there some pink splotches in the showers over the Scottish Highlands, and that is showing snowfall, would you believe it? But really only confined to the very tops of the Scottish mountains. But yes, autumn is here, and that's the first sign of snow we've seen on this chart, I believe, since like last spring. Into tomorrow night even, we see widespread clear skies, and with those clear skies and chilly air, we will see very widespread low temperatures getting into the mid to low single figures, and possibly in some very rural spots, especially for the north, there'll be some ground frost. Now, into Monday, many areas stay dry, crisp, bright, sunny, but in Scotland and northern England, some high cloud might just push in. And through next week, high pressure stays in control, so some sunny spells and variable cloud cover, but through the week in general, cloud will increase as the Atlantic tries to battle in. But even by Thursday, the rain only reaches as far eastwards as like Connacht and Munster and West Ulster in Ireland. Elsewhere, dry with hazy sunshine, but do not expect a heat wave. So let's go through the temperatures. You can see the reason for this, heavy rainfall being stuck where it is. We have some very warm air to the south. If we actually just go to 9 a.m. and put on the upper temperatures, you can see that we have upper temperatures in, like, say, London, Norfolk, Suffolk, that sort of area, Kent, of like 14 or 15 degrees. Contrastingly, they're below freezing in parts of Scotland and the Western Isles. And that, about 16-degree temperature contrast there, that just fuels this active weather front to keep dumping rain where it is. And the jet stream is currently very amplified, and that just means that this rain has very little to move it on, so it's very slow moving, it's stuck where it is, and therefore dumps a lot of rain in the same region over a period of time. Moving on to today, you can see some warm temperatures still for parts of England, but really you're looking at values in the low to mid-teens quite widely. Overnight tonight, well, cool air really does start to plunge in, so lows in Ireland of about 5 to 8, Scotland, Northern England, about 3 to 6, and still we're just clinging on to double figures in England and Wales, just about. However, Sunday we were a much cooler day for all areas, with the highest temperature of only 16 degrees in East Suffolk, East Kent, possibly eastern home counties up towards Cambridge, that sort of region, but that's the top temperature across all of Ireland and the UK tomorrow. So elsewhere, more like 10 to 13 or 14, and for Scotland, especially central and northern Scotland, not reaching 10 degrees. Hence the snowfall, the wintry showers on the tops of the high ground there. Through Sunday night, again, a very chilly night to start the week here. So you can see frost, in Ireland, Northern Ireland, and up into, say, Cumbria, Northumberland, southern Scotland, and parts of the Central Belt, and towards the Highlands there. Quite easily some ground frost. And even in Wales, those values that they could yield ground frost. Definitely quite a cold night there for all areas. Again, Monday, highest temperatures, only 16, possibly 17 Celsius. That's reserved for the areas south of the M4 in England. Really, you're looking at 10 to 14. Overnight into Tuesday, again, another cold night with some ground frost possibly, especially in the west. Tuesday, again, low to mid-teens. Some areas, only reaching 10 degrees. Again, quite a chilly start to Wednesday. Wednesday can be a bit warmer as we see the high pressure move over the country, cut off those colder winds, and the sun at this time of year does still have some strength to it, so temperatures rising into the mid-teens more widely. But going into Thursday morning, another quite chilly start to the day. So that is the temperature forecast. Show you what's going on also with the upper temperatures, because that's quite interesting. So you can see, as we saw earlier, this big temperature contrast filling that area of rain, then that gets shunted off into the continent. We see this sub-zero air mass coming in aloft. Temperatures in all areas going below freezing pretty much by tomorrow afternoon. Even the -5 isotherm just nudging the northern mainland of Scotland, really pushing into Orkney. Going through into Monday, again, this air mass just sits around, quite a chilly, cold air mass for September. But it does start to ease off in intensity by Tuesday. That is as the high pressure comes over the country. But as you saw, it'll be by no means a heat wave. Temperatures might reach the mid to high teens on Wednesday more widely, but overnight you'll notice the chill, especially under clear spells and earlier in the week. Yes, and possibly just a bit warmer in the west come Thursday as the high pushes eastwards. We might see more of a southerly influence, but some models also show more easterly influence as well. But high pressure will yield cold nights. Here is the upper temperature forecast for Dublin as well as precipitation. You can see that we have currently about average upper temperatures, but they will be cascading. So by tomorrow, we're looking at temperatures about -2 or -3 aloft, and they'll stay quite cold through the early part of the week. Then they'll rise a bit come midweek and towards the end of the week. But really, if high pressure stays over us, especially if you're dragging a more easterly flow, we will not realise this recovery in temperature properly on the surface. Cold nights, chilly nights, by day temperatures around the mid-teens, so not a heat wave. And then going into late September and the start of October, really we're looking at about average with the temperatures, but that masks just a lot of scatter as uncertainty increases, so watch the space. With regards to the rainfall spikes down here, you can see we're currently just coming off this area of rainfall. This spike shows that big area of rain. That spike is say showers, and then we see dry spell through the week. So that's as high pressure moves in, bringing dry and crisp weather. Then possibly more unsettles beyond that, but really that is a very uncertain time frame, so watch the space. So here's the GFS midnight run. GFS showing again big high pressure to our west, all the way from the Azores to Iceland, and a big low towards our east and northeast, and down comes a chilly northerly winds. The -5 ice therm threatens to push in towards Scotland there. Already they're in Shetlands for a time there, so quite cold air indeed. Then high pressure does build in from the west, and that will calm things down, yes, but as it's building into cold air, it will trap the cold air over us pretty much and generate some cold nights and crisp days. Lovely autumn weather. Now into the end of the week and start of next weekend, we can see low pressure tries to push in from the west a bit by that point. So we go a bit milder, more of a southerly airflow, but equally going more unsettles at the same time. Then we end September looking a bit milder, but a bit more unsettled. High pressure has now moved east. And, well, start October, high pressure overall looked to be more influential than it was through much of September. So, maybe a drier signal for a time. Maybe. So, here's the ECM 12 set from last night. So, this shows, once again, cold northerly winds plunging in today, tomorrow, Monday. Then it gets cut off. And we see a dry and crisp week here. Pretty nice. So, get out and about and enjoy it. The leaves are now starting to turn colour, so it's quite fitting, I think. Some nice crisp mornings. And really, the high pressure just doesn't really move, even up till next Monday, where in fact we put in an easterly airflow. But you can see there is some quite cold edge to the east, and that would not be a heat wave at all. By this point of the year, you do start to see some colder air start to pool over Russia. It can do anyway. So easterly winds are no longer going to be warm. Here's the midnight run and what is out so far of it anyway. So you can see, we're supposed to start northerly winds, then dry and crisp up until Friday. By that point, we have battleground going on. So we have high pressure towards Scandinavia and the Baltic Sea, trying to push in easterly winds, but in contrast, we have low pressure to the west, trying to steer its fronts in. Where we go beyond that, we don't know, but that looks a bit milder compared to how it was earlier in the week. UK Met Run looks like this. So once again, cold northerly winds, followed by high pressure. That'll bring some very decent autumn weather. Then going into the start of the weekend, that's next Saturday. High pressures now move towards Scandinavia. Bit of ridging going on to our south and west. Low pressure towards Iceland, jet stream up north. And you can see maybe a bit warmer, with more of a southerly influence to the wind direction. but that high pressure they could easily strengthen and put in a more chilly easterly wind. So yeah, there are some scenarios that could play out here. So first scenario I feel like could be the high pressure just goes to our east. We see low pressure deep into our west and northwest, and that generates a more southerly airflow, a bit milder. But those low pressures could threaten some rain at times. Scenario 2 is that the west is just break through. 3 would be that the high pressure towards the east is strengthened, move to Scandinavia, and bring in a more easterly airflow to end September. So those are our 3 scenarios, I feel like, looking at the model output. Here is the icon. So icon, much the same, looking at northerly winds, followed by crisp weather with that high pressure system. Then, let's see, so we end up next Sunday. Okay, so high pressure is very strong over, like, say, South Finland, into the Baltic Sea states, and into Western Russia, pulling in an easterly wind, well, at least trying to do so. Contrastingly, we have a very deep low pressure system to our west. That could be the remains of a hurricane. Yes, it is. It is the remains of a hurricane. Probably, actually, Gabrielle, which is now going away in parts of that part of the world, the tropical oceans, Atlantic Ocean, moving towards Bermuda, and then moving out towards the Azores, and then closer to us by next Saturday. So Gabrielle probably will be a big player in the weather, and probably a big player, a big factor, or the main factor in what happens towards the end of the month. Those 3 scenarios, those 3 scenarios that I said earlier, probably they all depend on Gabrielle and what it does as it moves closer to us. Here's the arpege. Once again, northerly airflow brings some colder air down, and then by next Wednesday, high pressure over to the east, cold nights, fine days, perfect autumn weather. Go to the start actually and show you what's going on with the jet stream. Those are the upper level winds. You can see that is very, very amplified. So we have a dip here, a trough ridging towards Greenland, and a trough again to our west, and then a ridge again to our east. This ridge has allowed high pressure to build over Europe, and that's what's been pushing this very warm air up into many parts of Europe and into parts of England through the last few days. I know parts of England yesterday, I think, reached 26 Celsius, I think. Contrastingly, this trough has allowed cooler air to push down from the north into like Iceland and the areas to our west. And along this jet stream, we're seeing that big temperature contrast, and that is where we're seeing that heavy area of rain that's just virtually stationary. It's been there since Thursday to some form, and it's still there now, but finally it looks like it will clear as we go into today, and that's as that trough does head eastwards, the jet stream heads eastwards, that arm of the jet heads eastwards, the whole pattern shifts, and we do clear that rainfall to the east, and then it's the problem of like Denmark, Netherlands, and up towards Sweden, Finland. That's their problem tomorrow. Anyway, so everyone, thanks for watching. A change on the way, definitely a change on the way. I can use a different title now, thank the Lord. And I'll see you soon. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.